Why you start the Facebook
Well,
Live?
we make sure, confirming everything's live. No, I saw an episode of the Star Trek one where they're fighting a mysterious cone in space. What is that snack? The little cracker chip.
Bugle?
Bugle. It looks
like a
giant
bugle.
Bugle in space. Yes,
There you
yes.
go. That's when you know we're in.
Yeah, and like even the remastered version, like that was still pretty cheesy. But then when my friend was saying, no, you got to look at the original. Okay, I could appreciate the improvement. Everything's looking good.
So I don't have a notification yet, but
Still looking. Well, just a little pre-show chatter while we adjust
is.
everything and get things squared away.
all right. So you have it on yours.
I don't know mine.
Oh, it's because it's on the sports app.
Which one is it? Did it come
Sports.
up?
Oh,
Okay.
sports.
I should get a notification on that. But I would just go to the page and find it.
Matt, when you are getting ready in the morning, how many, do you have a number of bow ties laid out?
No, I have a display. Actually, I was funny. I was watching the Charles Osgood send-off on
Sure,
CBS
sure.
Sunday morning, and they did a piece on his bow ties, which was I was fascinated by because he's got drawers full of them. And I don't have anything like that, but I mean, I do have like a pretty good. And generally, if I know what I'm going to kind of go into, like I actually do think about what I'm wearing if I'm going to a certain cover a certain team. Like I don't want to have the same team colors, or I don't want to have, anything that maybe will look like I'm wearing something that would be, maybe to go to that
Okay.
team. So.
All right, we are good to go, gentlemen. So there you go.
And welcome to College Football Now, also known as the after show to the bow tie extravaganza.
That's the pre-show we like to have.
We're the
going
bow
on.
tie wrap-up show. Telling you that.
It's pregame. Come on, we
If
have
we're
to
recording it,
pregame.
it needs to be a podcast because the bow tie is
Come on.
very big here. I'm Brant Parsons, along with bow tie aficionado Matt Murschel, and huge week in college football.
Mm-hmm.
3 games that, by my count, and I'm a little bit behind this week, but 3 games involving top 10 teams.
I think that's the first time since I read somewhere 2012 or 2002. It's been a while. It's been a long time since we've had that.
One of those games is on a Friday. 2 of them are on Saturday. We're going to talk about those games, a few others, and make our picks.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any questions, we didn't get any questions on Twitter, but we didn't ask for them this week.
Oh, we did.
I didn't.
It was
But
a busy week, but we
crazy
were able to
week.
get some. Feel free to send them on Facebook if you get a
crazy
chance,
week
please.
in the sports world with law, people losing jobs, and everything else that's happened in sports. But we're here to talk about college football. If you have any questions, we're on Facebook Live. I'm watching us on Facebook Live. I got to say, the bow tie looks great. But you can ask questions along the way, and we will answer it as the show goes on. You were at UCF, FIU last weekend. Saturday night, UCF blew out FIU, as good as they've looked. Obviously, they didn't win any games last year, so we're going back away since they looked that potent on offense. They open American play this Saturday. They go to East Carolina, a 12 o'clock tip-off or kickoff. It's on CBS SN. East Carolina comes in with the top offense in the American. They're averaging 524 yards per game. UCF, the third best defense in the American, but East Carolina not scoring as many points as their yards indicate. UCF not giving up more points than their numbers may indicate. Last year, East Carolina won this game 44-7. Year before, we know what happened. UCF won the American on a Hail Mary. Justin Holman was part of that game. Mm-hmm. Not going to be part of this game, more than likely. Mackenzie Milton, obviously, still making things happen. And one other guy I want to talk about before we make our picks, and that's Adrian Killens. 204 total yards. You and I talked about him before. Basically, you need to find a way to get this guy the ball. He makes things happen. I'm taking East Carolina in this game, and it's not the knock. UCF, UCF fans don't even follow me on Twitter anymore, so I don't even know why I'm saying anything to them. They hate me so much, but it's not a knock on.
I don't even follow you on Twitter. No.
Nobody does. You can look at my numbers. But UCF, it's not a knock on UCF, but just this is they could win this game. I mean, it's a close game. This is one of those games. This is gonna be one of those tests on the road. On the road at Michigan, you were expecting to lose. On the road at FIU, you're expected to win. This is a game now where you have to go and compete. It's a game you can win. It's a game you can lose. I'm taking East Carolina just because they're at home and that offense is very strong. And they've also played a tough schedule going into this game against Power 5 schools. I'm taking East Carolina. I would not be shocked, though, if UCF won this game.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take UCF in this game after watching them play against, I know, a very, very bad FIU team. So bad that they fired Ron Turner right after that, pretty much 24 hours right after that loss. I like what UCF is doing. I think when you see how Scott Frost has kind of make these little incremental steps with this offense, how it was supposed to look similar to what Oregon's offense looked like, we're starting to see that. We're starting to see that rushing attack. We're starting to see that rotation of running backs coming in there. You talked about Adrian Killings, a guy who comes in, really was able to make some spectacular plays. One play, 60-yard screen pass. It reminded me very much of a John Madden type game, a Madden NFL game where he would spin around and do things like that. Mackenzie Milton is getting more comfortable as a starting quarterback. If he's 100% healthy, he was a little bit banged up. He got knocked out in that middle of that game, but Scott Frost said afterwards he was going to take him out anyways and get some of his reserves some time. I like what UCF is doing. They need to cut down on the penalties, stupid penalties when it comes to their offense. I think a little bit of that is getting up to the line too quickly, and I think their guys aren't getting on together. Also, one of the things that I've been impressed with is the fact that they've using that rushing attack to kind of open up some of that passing attack as well. East Carolina has given up a league worst 9 rushing touchdowns. I think UCF will add to that. And the fact is, East Carolina doesn't get a lot of turnovers. They only had only forced 2 turnovers so far. So I think this gives UCF the perfect opportunity to go down, get a big win, open up the American Conference. If they win this game, I think they have enough potential to move forward and possibly become bowl eligible.
If you see us disagree throughout the show, just note that last week I was 8-1 in picks, and he was 4-5 in picks.
Oh,
just want to point that out.
Stop.
If you're following along.
That and $5.50 can buy you a cup of coffee anywhere you go. So
I probably wouldn't because I don't gamble. We don't recommend you use our picks for gambling. Moving on, number 14, Miami takes on Georgia Tech, 12 o'clock noon on Saturday. It's on ESPN2 in Atlanta. Miami, as much as Miami has struggled the past few years in ACC play, they have not struggled with Georgia Tech. They beat them 6 or 7 times. They've come into the season, just a few notes I have, they've outscored their opponents 153-23 in the Mark Richt era. They've only allowed 2 touchdowns. The defense leads the nation in team tackles for loss, scoring defense, and sacks. So they're getting it done on both ends in Miami. They're doing it against teams they should be getting it done against both ends in Miami. This is their first test, as we talk about UCF's first test with the new coach going on the road to face East Carolina. Now Miami goes on the road to face Georgia Tech. Never fun getting ready for Georgia Tech, because of getting ready for Georgia Tech means every other defense or every other offense you face this year, you need a different defense this week because you're going against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, the triple option.
And Justin Thomas, the quarterback, he's been doing it forever. He knows what he's doing. But I'm picking Miami in this one because I'm starting to believe in this Miami team. And we were talking about the ACC championship game, if it'll come to Orlando, who we may see here. And I was thinking, Clemson, Miami, that'd be a heck of a game, especially after what happened last year. I believe in this Miami team, and I'm going to take them to beat Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I think Miami wins this game. I think what helps the Hurricanes is they're coming off a bye week. They should be rested up. As you mentioned, they're the second best defense in the country right now. They've only allowed 1 rushing touchdown. And to me, that's a pretty impressive feat. Think about the fact you're going to be facing a Georgia Tech offense that likes to run the football, wants to get going, obviously, statistically. And one of the things also that's impressed me, we talked about Brad Kyer early on about him being really the catalyst to why this team is going to move forward. But let's talk about that running attack. That rushing attack is really formidable. You talk about with Mark Walton, Joe Yearby. Those 2 guys have been a great 1-2 combination from the backfield. I think that's really helped open up the passing game a little bit and has helped make Brad Kyer a little bit more comfortable behind center. That's able to help the offense move as well. Defense has done well. Offense has done well. I like Miami in this game. I think they're going to win. And I think this kind of sets up that big game against Florida State next week.
And last week, I picked Tennessee to beat Florida. And you may have laughed at me at that one. You laughed at me at one of the picks. And I'll tell you, through 28 minutes of football action in that game, the tail was tucked between my legs, and the Gators were dominating Tennessee. And then just the unthinkable, in a rivalry where Tennessee has had the brunt of everything bad and letdowns and falling apart, Tennessee comes back, scores 35 straight points, something like that, beats Florida. Florida now has to bounce back. They head to Vanderbilt. They're staying in Tennessee. 12 o'clock SEC on Saturday. The defense, they did surrender 5 touchdowns in those 6 possessions. They went from a 21-0 lead to being down by double digits in that game. Austin Appleby is going to be the quarterback on Saturday. He recorded his first start last week. 296 yards, 3 touchdowns. Looked fantastic in the first half. I mean, Florida came out firing the ball deep, moving around the field. I mean, he looked confident. He looked poised. They came out in the second half, and I don't know if it's because they came out and were trying to be too conservative and they fell off the rhythm, but his rhythm fell off. The offensive rhythm, they could do nothing. They had nothing until the fourth quarter when Tennessee had already built a lead. He looked terrible, turning the ball over. Everything looked bad, but he gets another shot. He's a confident kid. He wants to create a quarterback controversy before Del Rio is healthy. He's listed, or I don't know if he's listed, but he's extremely doubtful was the word I got on Del Rio. So Austin Appleby, a chance to showcase. And if he looks like he did in the first half, then there may be a quarterback controversy there. I'm taking the Gators in this one. It's an early start. Maybe it takes them a couple possessions to get the wheels going, but they're better than Vanderbilt, which isn't saying much against Vanderbilt. But I think you'll see more of what you saw from Florida earlier in the year in the first half of Tennessee, and they kind of right the ship. This is the perfect game for the Gators to right the ship. A Vanderbilt road game where there's almost no energy, nobody watching, and Gators right the ship with a win.
Yeah, I think Florida wins this game. I mean, listen, Jim McElwain is 1-5 against teams ranked in the top 25, but he's really good against everyone else. So this is one of those games where I think they get the win. I think one of the things that stunned me a little bit last week about Florida was how the coaching staff really didn't make second half adjustments. I mean, when they came in the halftime, I think what happened was they basically said, we're up 21-3, things are working, let's just keep doing what we're doing. And I think Tennessee came out and did some different things, and Florida's defense didn't look like the defense we're used to seeing. I mean, they gave up way too many big plays. They gave up, the secondary had guys out of position. And I think, that was something that really contributed to why they lost this game. I don't think that's going to be the case. Vanderbilt is not a team that's going to throw the ball up and down the field. They're a team that's going to rely on their tough defense. Look for a big game out of Eddie Pinheiro, the kicker for Florida. Last year's game was 9-7.
If you thought LSU Auburn was boring, wait till you watch Florida Vanderbilt.
Because this could be a kicking fest because of these two defenses. So I'm throwing that name out there, but I'm taking Florida in the game.
I got to tell you, I can't remember Florida defense looking that bad as they did in the second half. Just completely off of guys.
Well, guys were wide open.
15, 20 yards away from a defender, wide open. Remarkable.
No adjustments. And I mean, and I think you'll see that change a little bit, obviously, but I don't think you're going to get challenged down the field like they were by this, for Vanderbilt, by this Tennessee.
Will Muschamp never lost to Tennessee.
There you go.
Just remember that. North Carolina travels to number 12 Florida State Saturday, 3:30 on ESPN. The Seminoles have the nation's longest home win streak at 22 games. They've also won 12 or 16 consecutive ACC home games. It's been a long time since they've lost at home. Dalvin Cook's coming in off his big win against USF, 267 total yards rushing, the 329 all-purpose yards, the most by a college football player this year. UNC, they have a quarterback named Mitch Trubisky, who has not thrown an interception yet this year. He's thrown for 10 touchdowns. They have Elijah Hood, who has almost 300 yards rushing this year and 4 touchdowns. This will be a battle of offenses. Florida State will not be able to do what they did against USF, and that's basically the offensive line says, okay, you're going to go here to the. No. They were bigger than bigger than USF. They were able to kind of move guys wherever they wanted, open up big holes for Dalvin Cook. I think Florida State wins this game, but it's going to be a tougher task, obviously, than it was against USF. Just sheer size, not putting the Bulls down. They just in the trenches, they couldn't compete with Florida State. But I think Florida State, they got their rhythm, and everybody was complaining about Dalvin Cook. Oh, he was in too long. He was in the game at the end. Why was he still playing? Because Jimbo wanted him to remember what it was like to run with the open holes, and because he hadn't run that well yet this year. And I think that is going to kickstart him. You'll continue to see him play well, continue to see the offensive line find holes for him, and he can be a big game playmaker. So Florida State beats North Carolina.
Yeah, I got Florida State. I think this game's going to be a shootout. I think this is going to come down to these two teams going out and playing, a high-scoring affair, whether it's in the 30s or 40s. I think so. One of the things that concerns me a little bit about Florida State is their defense. They're giving up way too many points. I mean, way too. This is a defense that we thought would be would not be as good as maybe the offense, but would be better than what they've been so far. And the other concern is DeAndre Francois. The offensive line has not done a good job of protecting him.
No.
He's been pressured a lot more, I think, than we've seen a Florida State quarterback being pressured the last couple of years. He's been hit a lot, and that's going to, down the road, could come down to haunt them if he gets injured. I think you talked about Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, I think over 40% of his yards are coming after contact. So that means that's a guy who's getting hit at the line and still finding ways to make plays happen. That's what's going to happen in this game. But again, this is a game that, I think it's going to come down to be really close. It could, and Florida State wins it, but don't underestimate North Carolina. This is a team that puts up a lot of points. Look what they did against Pittsburgh last week. They were down, marched all the way back at the last second, and scored the winning touchdown. So this is a team that knows how to win and knows how to win in close games.
We talked about 3 top 10 games this weekend, one of them on Friday night. A real treat if you like watching college football on Friday night. This is as good as it gets. Number 7, Stanford, leaves the state of California for the first time in 328 days. They head up to play Washington, number 10 in the country. Stanford has won 7 of the past 8 meetings with Washington. They come into this game scoring defense only averaging 12 points a game. They've won 2 straight weekends on national TV on ABC on Saturday night. They are a disciplined team, and they also have the best player in college football, and I'll continue to say that in Christian McCaffrey. But Washington has a punch on offense, and if there's a team that could possibly mix things up in the Pac-12, we felt all along it was going to be Washington. Now they get their chance, but I'm going with Stanford. I'm going with the McCaffrey difference, and also just Stanford has been on this stage. They're not going to be intimidated. It's going to be Friday night. It's going to be loud. It's on the road, but they've been able to they've been playing these games now long enough that this is normal for them. Stanford gets the win, but this is going to be a good one, and I can't wait to watch it on Friday night.
Actually, I'm going to take Washington in this.
Of course
game.
you are.
I mean, come on. I mean,
why wouldn't you?
It's a Friday night. It's at Washington. Look what Jake Browning's been able to do so far this season. He's second in the Pac-12 in passing touchdowns. You look at the fact that this Washington team is looking to go 5-0 for the first time since 1992. I mean, this is not a team that's used to success. They're finding success now under Chris Peterson, head coach. Offense puts up a lot of points. Defense has played well. I like Christian McCaffrey. I like what Stanford's doing. I just kind of want to see what happens when the Pac-12 gets a little bit shaken up. If Stanford gets this loss, Washington moves on. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. If they're the favorites now, does Stanford bounce back? To me, I think Washington wins this one. If this was played at Stanford, I'd take Stanford in this game.
We've got a lot of top 25 games. One that has just one top 25 team in, but it might be the one I'm one of the ones I'm most intrigued by. Number 22, Texas visits Oklahoma State. These are 2 teams that have at times outperformed expectations, and Texas beating Notre Dame, and at times obviously underperformed Oklahoma State, losing at home to a MAC team. But Shane Buechele comes into this game. He's completing 66% of his passes. He's already thrown for 7 touchdowns. But Texas struggled against California their last time out, gave up 50 points. Losing that game on the road. Oklahoma State, they have a great passing offense that was shut down by Baylor. They've been able to run the ball some. They were even able to run the ball against Baylor on Saturday. But I don't know what to expect from either of these 2 teams, because Texas has shown us what they're capable of, but they're also beatable. Oklahoma State, we know what they're capable of, but they haven't shown it. They get Texas at home. A national TV game, 12 o'clock kickoff here, so it's 11 o'clock kickoff there, but it's ABC. We disagree on this one again. I'm going Oklahoma State because I didn't pick them last week, but this week I think they're going to click it into a gear, and I think Texas defense shows you can click it into a gear against them if things are going right, because Cal was able to. I'm taking the Cowboys in this one.
No, I'm taking Texas. It's got to be Texas.
Of course you are.
Because, listen,
of course you are.
The Longhorns have won 8 straight games in Stillwater. They're not afraid to go on the road. They're not afraid to win there. Plus, the Big 12 is putrid. And to be honest with you, any one of these teams any week is going to come in and beat up on a ranked opponent. I like what Shane Buechele has been able to do so far for the Longhorns. Oklahoma State leads the leads the Big 12 in allowing over 1,000 yards so far passing offense. I think Texas will be able to take advantage of that. I think they'll be able to score a lot of points, put up a lot of yards. Listen, this is a game that, again, Texas gets the win. Oklahoma State's got 2 losses, tough 2 losses. Again, the Big 12 is back in that. They don't look like they're going to have a team that's going to be, eligible to playoff by the way things are going. But I like what Texas is doing.
Baylor's still there undefeated.
Yeah.
So is West Virginia.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So I like Texas.
Skylar. So you weren't just breaking news there. Oklahoma State's going to the Pac-12. That was just a.
No, that wasn't.
Oklahoma State to the Pac-12. Sources
Oh my
have
God,
told
no.
Orlando Sentinel's Matt Michelle.
No.
No, we know what you're talking about. Going back to the SEC, last weekend, Georgia against Ole Miss. Ole Miss known for blowing leads. They weren't going to blow this one. They were 49-0 on Georgia. They tried to bounce back this week against Tennessee. Number 11 Volunteers visit the number 25 Bulldogs. How Georgia's still ranked in the top 25 is beyond me. 3:30 start on CBS. Georgia has 2 comebacks this year. Tennessee has 3. We know one. That was against Florida. We just talked about it. But I want to talk about something about Georgia that's not getting attention, and that's Nick Chubb. Rushed for 222 yards in the first game. Looked like the Nick Chubb we expected. Since then, 80 yards, 63 yards, and last week against Ole Miss, just 57 yards. If Nick Chubb isn't getting it done, and we know that it's a team in transition with the new coach, Kirby Smart, and guys in and out, if you can't get him to be consistent, you're going to struggle, and they've been struggling. And it finally bit them last week against Ole Miss, where they were blown out. But those numbers from Nick Chubb kind of scare me. And I actually almost picked Georgia in this game because Tennessee coming down from their big win. But I'm going to take Tennessee to win this on the road, and then hopefully the voters can get this straightened out and get Georgia out of the top 25, because that is ridiculous that a team like Georgia barely beats Nichols, that gets blown away by Ole Miss, can still be in the top 25. But after this week, they won't be in the top 25, and Tennessee will be moving up still.
That's a very good pick, because I got Tennessee too in this game.
Finally, we agree.
I think that
We're like the debate.
We're like the debate, yeah. Thank you, Mr.
Can I call you Secretary Michelle?
Listen. For the 30 minutes that Tennessee, second half of that game against Florida, that's the Tennessee team I think everyone thought they would be going into the season. They expected them to move the pocket a little bit more, get Joshua Dobbs more opportunities down the field, take advantage of some size mismatches up front, have a solid running attack, do things with their defense, solid defensive play. That 30 minutes was the best that Tennessee has played. Hopefully they can take that momentum, go on the road and beat a Georgia team, which, as you mentioned, quite frankly, is really overranked, in this, and really showed it last week. This is an opportunity for Tennessee to make a big statement. They beat Georgia, obviously. They're in the driver's seat for the SEC East. There's pretty much no way that they can, unless they stumble on some of these, bottom feeder teams, there's no way that they're not going to win the East. So I think Tennessee wins this game, I think then it becomes kind of who's going to be second. Is it going to be Georgia and Florida? And we'll decide that in late October.
And you talk about the SEC East, the key game for Tennessee, because they still have to play Alabama.
Yeah, and
so
that's
you have
true
to think
too.
that they're going to have a loss in the SEC, which means that if it comes down to it, they want to have those head-to-head wins.
Yes. And
so they'll be looking to do that against Georgia and set themselves up for the SEC East, which I still think they're going to win. We agreed on that one, but that's the last time we're going to agree in this show. So it is going to look like the debate, perhaps. Number 8, Wisconsin travels to number 4, Michigan, 3:30 on ABC. Wisconsin, world beaters last week, knocking off Michigan State, forcing 4 turnovers in that game and dominating the Spartans, which was a shock to both of us. We actually both missed that game. It was the only game I got wrong last week. Wisconsin heads into this one. They've won 8 straight on the road. They're the first Big Ten team to tally wins over 2 top 10 teams before October 1st since Penn State did it in 1999. This would be number 3 if they pull this one off. And this is a battle of mights. Badgers have allowed under 12 points per game. Michigan, their lowest game is 45 points. We were concerned about the Michigan offense coming into the season. You don't need to be concerned about that offense. It's going to score points. But now they're going against the Badgers. And I have Wisconsin upsetting Jim Harbaugh, upsetting Michigan. 3 wins against the top 10 team.
You're wrong.
The team that
You're wrong.
The
I'm
team
gonna
that
talk
we
over
thought
you. You're wrong.
was not going to be able to even compete in the Big Ten West. They are going to knock off Michigan and set up that game with Ohio State 2 weeks down the road to be just huge, because Wisconsin, they play good defense and they get turnovers, and they're going to take advantage of it on Saturday.
I'm taking Michigan. You're wrong. It's Michigan.
Not.
You're just, you can't admit the fact that Michigan's a good team, and Michigan is a very good team. But this game right now,
Tremendous team.
This game right now is Big Ten football at its best. 2 of the top defenses in the Big Ten going at each other. We know, as you mentioned, what Wisconsin did. Michigan's been able to do the same sort of thing with their defense. Their offense has been really well. I think the thing that's helped Michigan in some regards is their special teams play. We saw that against UCF. They do a really great job with their special teams play, able to take advantage of it week in and week out. Jabril Peppers, linebacker / defensive back / wide receiver / running back, whatever you want to call him. He's been able to have an impact on this team. I think if this game was played in Wisconsin, maybe you'd shift more towards the Badgers. But I like what Michigan's doing. I think Wisconsin, as great as they've been, they've got such a difficult road ahead. They got this game. They're going to have to play Ohio State. They got to play Iowa. They got to play Nebraska. If they beat Michigan and they beat Ohio State and they go through that whole unscathed, then obviously they're the team to beat in the Big Ten. But at this point, I like Michigan. I think Michigan gets the job done.
A lot of people talking about Michigan. A lot of people talking about how good they are. Believe me, it's a lot of people. Number 3, Louisville at number 5, Clemson. This is the game of the week, maybe one of the games of the season as the season plays out. Certainly for the start of the season, it's the game of the year so far. The Cardinals head in there at 8 p.m. on ABC. These two teams have met just twice before the last 2 years. They'd never met before joining the ACC, before Louisville joined the ACC. 9 points have separated them in the 2 combined games. Clemson's won them both. They won last year without that guy, Deshaun Watson, who played only 11 snaps. This is a game he got hurt in last year. They were still able to get the win. The difference maybe in this game is Lamar Jackson comes in, and he has scored 25 touchdowns in 4 games, 13 passing, 12 rushing. And it was actually in the Clemson game notes, they said he is averaging 37.5 points per game himself. And it compared it to basketball legend from Louisville, Adrian Griffin, who only scored 23 points per game on the court playing for Louisville. But Lamar Jackson has set the world abuzz, so much so that the team you pick number 1 heading into the season may not be the team that you pick in this one, but I still think Clemson is the better team. They're going to get things straightened out. They have taken the biggest brunt of poor performance in a voting standpoint, if you think about it, because this is a team that everybody had penciled in as a playoff team. They're going to get back there. They're the number 5 team coming into this game. Louisville comes in number 3. Clemson at home, Death Valley. Deshaun Watson plays this game, doesn't get hurt 11 snaps in. Clemson knocks off Louisville.
No, I think I'm following the Lamar Jackson bandwagon.
This is stunning.
Hey, I want to get my ticket punched right here for the Lamar Jackson bandwagon. I know I had Clemson picked, but listen. What Louisville's been able to do, it's not just Lamar Jackson, but what Louisville's been able to do as a team is quite outstanding. I mean, you look at what they've done defensively. Todd Grantham has done a great job on that defense. They've been able to really kind of upset a lot of teams. Look what they did to Florida State. I mean, they embarrassed Florida State, And I think that what's going to happen here is I think there's going to be too much Lamar Jackson. I haven't been impressed with Clemson. I know they've kind of bounced back the last couple weeks and looked a little bit better, but I think Jackson's the type of player, and I think as long as he is able to get some protection, as long as doesn't turn the ball over, and as long as they can continue big plays, they lead the nation in big plays. I mean, from scrimmage, so they can continue to do that. I think they're going to do it. It's going to be tough, and I don't think it's going to be any sort of blowout. I think it's going to be a very close game. Clemson last lost at home was in 2013 against Florida State. So, and I'm not buying the idea that a team goes undefeated in the ACC. I think at some point Louisville might lose down the road. There's a Houston team that I'm sure Tom Herman's got down that would love to see get a loss there as well. So I think this just adds more to the drama. But again, look at what happens for the ACC. I mean, the ACC has this matchup in early October to have 2 teams ranked in the top 5. That's a pretty good deal for this conference, especially when you consider that so far in the last couple of years, they've been listening to the SEC, they've been listening to the Pac-12, they've been listening to the Big Ten talk about how great of a conference they are. To have these teams there, to have Florida State, still in the top 15, I think all those factors make the ACC look pretty good right now moving forward, and especially when you consider the fact that, as you mentioned with Lamar Jackson, I mean, it's Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, and that's it. When you talk about the Heisman Trophy race, there aren't a lot of other candidates out there right now that are playing at that level. If Jackson stumbles in this game, I think there's an opportunity, obviously, for McCaffrey, if he has a good game, to move in there as well. And if they lose the game, well, then, again, I think it'll be a whole new thing on Monday.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani just tweeted that Matt Michelle should skip the next 2 debates.
Oh,
so
there we go.
He doesn't think highly of your performance today, Matt.
Well,
We'll see. Maybe you can bounce back just like so many teams we just talked about. But big weekend. We're looking forward to it. And we will not be on next Wednesday. So you guys get a break from us. Matt will be participating in a college playoff, what do they call it, a simulation, where you guys will get together and get to see how the process goes, participate in the process of what it would be like to pick the playoff teams
Yes.
as it goes through the season. So you get a week off from us. We'll put the picks online, or we'll do a podcast or something. But we do get a break. You get a break. I get a break next week from Matt. But for Matt, Michelle, thank you all for watching, participating, and continue to follow all of our college football coverage at OrlandoSentinel.com. So the bow ties.